Mediocre Disc Golf Podcast, an average podcast for the average disc golfer. As always, I'm Evan Amstutz, here with the fastest forehander in the West, Dan Hesser. Dan, how are you doing today?
I'm good, man. How are you?
Good. I forgot to tell everybody that we're happy they could join us because, again, display issues. So my normal setup is screwed up. Excuses.
We are happy that you're listening, whomever is listening. It's awesome. I had a few friends listen and they got some feedback, which was pretty cool. It's always cool when you get to have different people listen to your podcast that maybe you're not weren't expecting. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was very fun when my in-laws were like, "Yeah, on the drive over here, we listened to a couple episodes." I was like,
Yeah, right. You're
"And
right.
what'd you think?"
I know. You're like, I played disc golf the other day with somebody who's pretty new,
hmm
and they sent on Snapchat or whatever, like they were recording, and I was talking to my girlfriend about how to throw a disc, and I was like, just throw it on a right hand backhand and it should hyzer right towards the disc. And she's like, I have no clue what he's talking about. Like he's speaking a different language. And I'm like, yeah, that makes sense.
Well, boy, do I have the podcast for you.
Right, exactly.
What have you been up
Uh,
to, man?
Not much. It started snowing up here, which is kind of crazy that it's
Started
snowing in
what?
Arizona. Snowing. We
I don't
just
know what
played
that
a
is.
we just played our first full snow round. It
Oh,
was pretty fun.
did you do the thing where you tie the long ribbon or you tape the long
Mm.
ribbon to the bottom of the disc?
No, we just threw white discs and then complained that we couldn't find them pretty easily. It was no,
That's a mediocre snow round if I've ever heard of one.
right. No, it wasn't that bad.
Cool.
Just it was more of like the hard compact snow. So like
hmm
not and it wasn't very deep. So the discs weren't disappearing. They were just kind of riding on the top of it. So
So
it
you're
was
getting
pretty
those like disc golf valley snow skips where it just goes pew.
fun. Disc Golf Valley isn't real. So
That's
in real
why
life
that's why
it
I
doesn't happen.
quantified it as that.
It doesn't really happen. Um,
Dude, I
yeah,
haven't
actually I
seen
was getting
snow in
less
years. I
skips.
don't I don't know what a disc does in the snow.
It doesn't skip as much. It probably skips more on ice, but not on snow.
Well, I can tell you what a disc does in a tropical storm because I lost a putter yesterday.
Did you ever make that shot?
No. So for everybody listening, I've been attempting to do a shot where I throw a putter in front of me with the basket behind me and allow the wind to carry it back behind me into the basket. I've got quite a few fails, which I'm sure I'll post over time because they're pretty funny. Like one where I go, man, I hope this doesn't go in the water, and that shot goes directly into the pond behind my house. I had one where my basket blew over, in which I realized that I needed to start attempting this on a permanent basket. And then yesterday, there's a small little like putter area in the neighborhood next to me. So I went over there, and there's some pretty thick woods back behind this area. Of course, that's the direction the wind was blowing. Let one go, and of course, the three putts before it, like pretty much landed back at my feet because the wind wasn't strong. Very next one leaves my hand and just flings behind me, probably 30 feet back into the woods. I'm like, ah.
Nice.
So learning that those trick shots like Brody used to do and Dude Perfect and how
Yeah.
ridiculous. I used to be like, oh, I want that job. I've tried this for maybe 2 hours and I'm already over it, but now I've mentally committed to trying to get it. So I'm going to get it at some point.
Yeah, I feel like you should try it a lot. You should try it more often now because once this tropical storm passes you, it's not supposed to be nearly as windy. So,
Yeah, it's just I mean, it's pretty much past now for
oh,
those
has it?
for those who don't know, Tropical Storm Nicole has just gone through a good portion of Florida, but we've been getting wind from it for the past couple of days. But it's not a consistent wind. So some don't do anything and some go into my neighbor's yard. So some go into the pond, the wind switches directions. It's a good time. It I did figure out that I couldn't have my wife film it because it took a lot longer than I initially thought it would.
She got
And,
bored.
and she got very bored very quickly, which I don't blame her.
Checks out. Yeah.
There's only so many times she can laugh at me tossing the disc up out in front of me and it coming directly back to me. Like it's funny
Right.
3 or 4 times, and then
Right.
just like,
It's
oh,
just...
this is sad. He's playing catch by himself.
Yeah.
But hopefully I'll have a cool trick shot later.
Are you so Jacksonville is having their Silver Series there this coming
Yes.
weekend. Are
Yep.
you going to show up? Are you spectating? Are you volunteering? What's your capacity? Are you watching it from the house?
I I wish I could. I cannot do any of those things in any capacity other than promote it here because I have multiple weddings to go to. I'll be doing a
Hmm.
big old lap around Florida
Nice, nice.
for
Well,
that. But I wish I could go because it's actually got quite the lineup.
yeah, it looks really cool. I'm really excited about it. There should be some good. And it's always cool to see the pros come out and play your course, right? So I'm excited about that as well.
Have you heard any feedback? I skimmed through Reddit earlier today and I was like, someone's got to have said something. Um,
Feedback
but
as far as
like what the pros think of the course because they haven't played there since 2018.
I
So
haven't heard anything yet, but I'm sure after the tournament we'll hear something.
I'm sure we'll hear something tomorrow because
Yeah,
tomorrow's the first round. But usually, like I definitely listened to debate night this week because I was like, oh, Brody's going to talk about the course, but he delayed his trip because of Tropical Storm Nicole. So
gotcha. That makes sense. And I'm
he
sure he's
hadn't
already
seen it.
played the course.
Yeah, and I wonder, I didn't check. Let's see if he's even still in it because that wouldn't surprise me either. I wouldn't want to fly to Texas to potentially play either blind or a practice round because the Lynn sisters were posting on Instagram today their practice rounds, and it was going about as well as you could picture in a tropical storm.
Yeah, I saw that.
So let's see.
It's fun
Tournament.
to play. I played in some of those wins the other day. It's super fun to play in them, but not a rated round in them. It'd be fun
Mm-hmm.
just casually you know playing it, but that's how you take sixes and sevens and everything else. So.
Oh yeah. So Paul Macbeth is playing.
Hmm.
Brody is playing, or at
Okay.
least, yeah, he's still playing. Tees off at 11:20 tomorrow.
Nice.
So, yeah, it should be an interesting tournament. Especially, I've played it many, many, many times. Never broken par on the that course. So
No?
no, I mean I've played it from the longs. I've only played it 4 or 5 times.
Yeah.
And it was never on my own volition. Never like I want to play the longs today. I feel up for
Yeah.
the challenge. It's usually Josh Hatcher going, I want to just throw as far as I can, which for him means we have to find the longest course we can possibly find.
So New World
Yeah, New
Championship
World Red.
course.
Yep.
Yeah. Checks out. Throw it as far as you can. Have a nice
Right.
day. Yeah. Sounds great. Really happy that he could throw super far. And yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you know who else can throw super far?
Who would that be?
Well, we have a guest on that actually is a great teacher, has a pretty cool YouTube series, and maybe he can kind of give us some insights on what it takes to be on the Pro Tour.
Yeah, sounds good. Let's bring him on. This week's episode is brought to you by The Disc Shop. One of the best days for a disc golfer is New Disc Day. With different runs of discs, the best way to get exactly what you want is by seeing what you're buying. The Disc Shop in Middleburg, Florida has the largest selection in store in Jacksonville. Want the latest from Discmania? The Disc Shop has you covered. Looking for starter kits to introduce your friends? Head on down to the Disc Shop. If you prefer the convenience of online shopping, head over to thediscshop.com for all your disc golf needs. Listeners get 10% off when using the code MDGPOD at checkout online or by mentioning the podcast while in store. Located halfway between Trinity and Ronnie Van Zant, the Disc Shop is the spot. So this week we have Masters Cup champion, Prodigy, USDGC champion, Gannon Buhr. Gannon, how you doing?
Good. How are you guys?
Good. We've talked about you with Gavin Babcock, Matt Schlabach, talked about you quite a bit, and now we actually have you on the show. We're really excited to have you.
Nice.
We always do that same question on every interview just to kind of get things warmed up and ask, but I'm sure you've been asked it like 100,000 times at this point. But can you talk about your experience getting into disc golf and kind of give us your history on it a little bit?
Yep. So I was living in Goldfield, Iowa with my mom, and she had just got a new job. So we moved down to Des Moines, Iowa. And I guess a couple things kind of happened. I had kind of started watching YouTube as every kid did that age. I was probably 9 years old. And our new house we moved to had a basketball court in the backyard and a big wide open space to throw, which I didn't know at the time I was going to start throwing, but that was there. And I was watching YouTube videos, saw some Brody Smith trick shots. He'd throw his ultimate frisbee into the basketball hoop. And I was like, okay, I have a basketball hoop. Let me do the same thing. So I went to the store to go buy an ultimate frisbee to do that. And I bought a Champion Firebird by accident. And
Could be a different game of Ultimate.
quickly realized that was the wrong thing. And, I went back to the store to go actually buy an ultimate frisbee, and I bought the correct one this time. Um, Kind of stuck with that for a little bit, for a couple months, and my neighbor that we ended up moving next to was a disc golfer. He had a disc golf basket, and I traded my junior set of golf clubs for those that disc golf basket, and that's what I used for probably the first 3-4 years of my disc golf journey.
Oh,
So
sick.
that's cool until it basically just broke. I had it was a super cheap basket, and I had bent the chains of the support on top to like make it a skinny basket, and
Oh, yeah.
bending it forth repeatedly, they just snapped off. So we put it on the side of the road, and someone picked it up. So, but yeah, my neighbor gave me, I think he gave me a couple discs. I had a couple people just give me discs, and started asking for discs for Christmas and whatever, and kind of just kept getting into it and ended up just doing it for fun, until now, basically.
And now you're all the way up to having a commemorative disc.
Yep, that's a pretty much a dream come true. I've always like, wow, it'd be cool to have my name on a disc. Probably is never gonna happen, and then now here we are. So it's pretty cool.
When does that come out?
It is out right now. Yeah, yeah. I've had a decent amount of discs with my name come out on it recently. I have my Tour Series 400 D1 signature series, I guess, and then I have they just released a D1 called the Permafrost, and that's just a 500 D1 or a 400 D1. Really nice flyers. I like the 500s. They feel really well. They're really durable, and they hold up in wind, so those are nice and consistent. And then I have my 350 GPA 3. That is what I used to putt with, and I was the number one Circle 2 putter on the Disc Golf Pro Tour this year. So I got a disc for that as well.
That's a pretty cool stat, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think we're both members of Team Disc Stop,
Yep.
and that's something that helped me at least when I was trying to learn how to be a better putter. But did you ever use those things like in the actual like when you were practicing, or was it kind of more just using the marksman style baskets?
I guess I used that fake marksman style I made for like a day, and then I regretted it because all the off. And I ended up getting a couple Prodigy baskets. I got the main one I use. I do have a Strike Zone, which is Prodigy's basically version of the Marksman, the skinny basket. And I pretty much only use the normal size basket. Actually, for me, I've realized that putting on a skinny basket just hurts my putt. It makes it a lot worse because you miss more, and it's like kind of degrading in a way.
Oh yeah, like
And
the confidence like is going downhill.
I'm like, okay, like a couple nights ago in my basement, I just had like a stack of 20 putters, and I made every single one of them from 30 feet, like 20 in a row. But if I had a marksman style basket, I'd probably only make like five, just because confidence reasons. And I kind of realized, we don't play on those, so there's no point in practicing on that. And then put a disc dot like where like I want to hit the putt, kind of. I'll I'll kind of like start the height of my putt at the band and then have it drop to where the disc dot is, which is usually high, like middle, high right kind of the basket.
So, what style of putt would you kind of describe yourself having? Like, is it more of like a hyzer putt? Is it more of a push putt, or like what?
It's a very, I'm really like one of two people that do it, me and Ricky Wysocki. Um, and Ricky's is even more of a push putt than mine. He has a spin putt, but mine is I I come down like my reach down is like a push putt, and then when I come up, it's almost all a spin putt. But it's also like I have one of the most nose down putts on tour, which is a spin putters don't have nose down putts,
Hmm.
so it's a perfect mix of, and I think that's what's been helped me become such a good circle two putter is um, just it drops out of the sky. I don't have to worry about comebackers because it's so nose down where it doesn't go more than 20 feet past the basket anyway, unless I really airball it. Um, but yeah, I think that's definitely contributed to my good putting is just having that nice nose down spin putt. I get all the power I need to. I mean, a lot of people know me as being probably the furthest jump putter on tour. I can jump putt anything inside 180 feet. So if I'm ever pretty much 180 feet in, I'm throwing a jump putt unless it's windy, which is a huge advantage to have, especially like in the woods with short up shots. I just jump putt it. Even a couple holes on tour, like Maple Hill hole 4, I just jump putt that hole, and it's a pretty easy birdie every time. So definitely an advantage, and I think that's my putting style has definitely helped me become the player I am today.
How did you develop that style? Like, especially with it being so unique, was it inspired by Ricky, or did you just kind of find that naturally?
Pretty natural. I Putting is the one thing I've never copied anyone by.
Hmm.
My my backhand, obviously, early on, I tried copying Will Schustrick, and right now, if I'm going for distance, I try to do a little bit of like a Simon Lizotte, where you can really see it snap back and hit the power pocket really quickly. That gets me a little more distance. And then in terms of forehands, I try to basically mimic Eagle when he was at his prime forehand, and it doesn't look a lot like Eagle's, but to me, it feels like I'm throwing like him a little bit. My forehand's more known for being versatile, useful. I have about 450 feet if I need it, but I mainly just throw consistent shots with it, and I throw a forehand a lot. And then my putt is just myself. That's like the only part of my game I didn't copy anybody. I copied Will Schuster for the first like couple months, and then I was like, you know what, this is not really working for me. I need to do, you know, doing my own thing. And then I kind of, through the years, I've definitely like tried to copy some people's putt. Like I copied Adam Hammis's in a way, like I just like taking down like what his fundamentals were. And I'm like, okay, that actually kind of feels good. Maybe if my putting's off one week, I'll change it up and it'll feel right back on, but my putting stroke will be different. So a lot of different ways that my putt ends up working, but mainly I've adapted to the way my putt flies, and I kind of just when I putt, all I focus about is where my hit point is, where the peak of my putt wants to be, and I'll let it drop in the basket every time.
Yeah, so I have like a similar style. I have like a lot more of a hyzer putt, and in the wind, it's definitely affected me quite a bit. When you're talking about those 180 foot, and in jump putts, how do you compensate when the wind is blowing a lot more? Is it you just snap it a little bit harder, or is it you actually have to go back to the throw then, or like what's your how do you
Yeah,
compensate for that?
like very rarely I'll use like an A2 to jump putt if it's like super windy. But if it gets windy at all where I think it isn't going to be beneficial, I'll end up just taking a forehand, probably a forehand A2 or backhand A2, and then just playing it just like a short throw, which I'm not great at, which is why I don't like to do that, which is something I'm working on. But yeah.
Yeah, I get that, man. There's a lot of like little short putter courses around here that some reason they all want to play. So it's like those little tiny touch shots, like they're so annoying.
Yeah, I like if I if I go and play a tournament right now in here in Des Moines, Iowa, and it's just like at one of our courses, it's not even a super short course, but every hole's like 300 or
Yeah.
three maybe. I actually struggle. I don't even play good out there because I play so much better at hard courses. I've performed really well at these really hard courses like Ledgestone at like Lake Eureka, Northwoods Black. I really should have felt like I should have won that tournament, but I ended up taking third, which is still pretty good. It was leading after round one, and then obviously USDGC is a very punishing course. You gotta play to your game, and a lot of it was my game: forehands, straight mid ranges, and being able to throw mid ranges very far. I can throw mid range probably 420 feet if I really need it. So that helps me so much, and I know where I'm going to place it every single time if I have a mid range. So it's a huge advantage, just to be able to keep it controlled, keep it one angle. Not have to work with like a fairway driver even will fade pretty hard at the end of a flight if you don't hit the angle right.
Yeah, no, for sure it is. I mean, the ability to do that is awesome. Do you so like what coming back from tour and everything like that, and all your I'm guessing you probably have like buddies from your local leagues and everything like that you probably played with forever. Um, have you found it like where like everybody wants to play you now, or is it like what's been the feedback from like the local scene?
Everyone's super supportive, and they always like having me in town and seeing me at courses, and that's I always have a good time going home and playing with some locals.
Yeah, for sure. I get that.
So to kind of bring it back to your comment about playing really challenging courses, is that because do you like playing them because you're like, extra focused because it's challenging, or is it just you like that style of the technical courses?
I think there's a couple reasons. One is like that's where you see the separation from a pretty solid touring pro to like one of the best touring pros, and that's obviously where I'm aiming, and that's my trajectory right now. Is that's been my goal forever, and I'm still working on becoming the best player in the world. Obviously, not there yet. Don't have the titles or the accolades or whatever, but I think in a couple of years maybe I can be known as the best player at the time, which is going to be a goal of mine. And I think you see those players shoot the best of these hard courses. And for me because I have like it's almost it's almost like me playing the same, but other people are messing up more. If that makes sense. If you have if you have a more wide open course with not a lot of OB, you know, a player like me can shoot really hot, but then you might have a player like in the 1020s also shoot super hot because there's no punishment and there's a bunch of airspace where you want to place it. Um, or maybe like a course like Jonesboro or something like that, or even DDO some on some spots. But a course like Northwoods Black or tight courses with tight OB. A lot of the woods courses I played well at. I got top five at Idlewild as well. I hit my lines and other people might mess up, and then that's where I get my strokes at. And it feels, for me, hard courses feel easier because I know I'm going to do better than I guess like the average touring pro, just based off how I feel in my game and my skill level. So I definitely feel more comfortable at harder courses because there's not as much pressure to shoot a super hot round. Where some courses you need to shoot like a 10 down. If you shoot like maybe a 5 down, these hard courses, you're still feeling pretty good.
Yeah, that makes sense. So some of those courses, they're definitely you definitely have to be double digits to be competitive.
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask, people compare you or mention that you're like a prodigy, and everybody talks about different stuff like that. How does that affect you? Like, what's your take on all everybody comparing you to like the next coming of disc golf? Like, does that like how do you take that?
It's a little bit of pressure, but it's also a little bit of like fueling my fire. It shows that my work is paid off, and like I'm the I guess like the young guy, and if I ever see like another kid around my age coming up, I'm like, okay, I really got to prove myself now, and I need to be the one. I've always just wanted to be the one in the spotlight, and then that's kind of what's fueled me. And then, but it's also a little bit of pressure. It's like I just don't want to mess up. If I mess up, then maybe I'll be, I mean, not forgotten, but like not as relevant as I could be.
Yeah. Do you feel like it's internal pressure, or do you feel like it's like your sponsors kind of putting that pressure on you, or?
It's all me. It's all me. Just just thinking too much, I guess. And sometimes that's a good thing. When I think a lot and I focus and there's a lot of pressure, I play really well. and even at this triples tournament I had the last weekend, I played almost lights out the second round because there was actually pressure to shoot good. Like it was pretty tight coming down the stretch, and I was making these huge eagles and these big putts, even in just a triples tournament. I was throwing the shots correctly, and in a pressure situation. Same thing with USDGC. It causes me to focus more because I know I can't mess up.
Was that you mentioned the triples tournament?
I think Gavin mentioned that.
He did. Who was the other? It was you, Gavin. Was it Isaac, or who was the third?
Oh, we didn't play a triples tournament. I played with a couple other guys.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
okay. Is there one coming up that you're playing in or something like that?
We wanted to go me, Gavin, and Alden, but that didn't work.
Oh, okay.
South Dakota, and then Alden stayed in Georgia, so that didn't work. So I got a new team anyway. So
nice. Did you manage to win it, or how did you do?
Oh yeah, I played really well. We started off tied for the lead with like 4 other groups, so it was tight. And then you go to the harder course, and you're like, okay, now we actually there is no messing up. You can't mess up. The first course you have to shoot like a 17 down to be in contention.
Oh Jesus!
Down at the hard course, which was pretty unreal.
You shot what down at the hard course?
19. I got 2 solo eagles myself, and we only missed 1 hole.
That's ridiculous, man. That's crazy.
Pretty gross. We only won by 1 stroke.
Hey, win's a win.
Who is the other team? Were they a bunch of 1,000+ rated players, or?
I mean, I feel like triples anybody can win. It was Chris Sprague, Rod Reeder, and Aiden Barak, some local guys, and then Chris obviously is the kind of old veteran basically, but he also designed that course, Camden, too, so he knows all the lines.
A little insider knowledge there, huh?
Well, that wraps up part 1 of our interview with Gannon Buhr. You can find Gannon on Instagram at GannonBuhrDG and buy his USDGC commemorative permafrost D1 on ProdigyDisc.com. You can find Dan on Instagram at DHesser, me at Evan Amstutz DG, and the podcast at Mediocre Disc Golf Pod. You can also find us on Twitter at Mediocre DG Pod. If you'd like to support us, buy one of our shirts on MythicDiscGolf.com and listen to us every Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern. If you enjoyed the show, leave us 5 stars and a review to help out. If you didn't, still give us 5 stars and tell us why. We know we aren't perfect because we are mediocre. Have a good night.